Okay, we're back again. Once again, this is Quasi Persona Humanoid, and let's try to talk up a little bit this time because obviously, as last time, I had a little problem and the audio came a little off. But we're going to continue on what we were talking about. If you were to let go of your thoughts related to your body consciousness, you would discover that you are separate from your body. In the advanced stages of meditation, you could do things such as to materialize at will, as well as perform other feats that are considered to be miracles or psychic powers. The parts of the spiritual body are in reality like layers of clothing of your true self. Therefore, in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus exhorts his disciples to strip without being ashamed, and on that day they will see him. His disciples said to him, "On what day wilt thou appear to us, and what day shall we see thee?" Jesus says, "When you strip yourselves without being ashamed, when you take off your clothes and lay them at your feet like little children and trample them, then you will become children of the enlightened Christhood, him who is living, and you will have no more fear." All the elements of the personality come together to create a conglomerate, which collectively makes up likes and dislikes, opinions, feelings, thoughts, and desires of an individual. All of them constitute a conditioning of the individual consciousness. This condition is referred to as egoism. The egoism must be dismantled and stripped from the body. When this occurs, you will discover that what seems so real and concrete, astral body, physical body, is nothing more than condensed thoughts. This discovery will free you from them as a bird is free from a cage. Then you take them off. What is left is the true absolute you. All creation has that same absolute self at its core. Therefore, you must seek to transcend all the layers of ethereal matter so as to discover the true self. This is accomplished by the practice of all the disciplines of yoga presented here and in the Egyptian Yoga Book series. When we speak of conditioning, we are referring to the condition of consciousness in the forms of the parts of the spirit in the same way that the conscious becomes conditioned in various forms, subjects, objects, interactions, in a dream. What is holding it all together? Desire born of ignorance of the higher self, which is transcendental of and independent of concepts and is whole of free form fragmentation. And it's free from fragmentation. The subtlest parts of the body are the deepest levels of the unconscious mind. Contained in them is the cause of separation between the individual soul and the God soul. This individuation principle is always called ignorance. Therefore, ignorance based in the causal body is the primary cause of the astral and physical body, ego, coming into being. This is why it is called the causal body. It causes the other bodies to come into existence. When this ignorance is removed, all the bodies become as if transparent, as when you wake up from a dream, even when you are still asleep. The dream continues, but you know it's a dream. So you witness it as a dream and not as reality. Upon waking from the dream, you discover that even while things seem to be so real, they were not. You were not even moving. You were placidly lying on the bed. In the same way, a sage discovers that the self is not moving, only the thoughts. Senses in the body controlled by those thoughts can be said to be moving. Does a dream move? No. In the same way, the real you is not located in your body and is not itself does not move. This is the reason why the sages consider the body and the phenomenal world as an illusion. Plato and Aristotle elaborated on this idea in later years, but it originated in the Memphis theology, where they studied as initiates of the ancient Egyptian mystical teachings. Essentially, the teachings explain that while the world exists and is characterized by movement and change, It has a deeper basis that is unchanged and undisturbed. This is the support or unmoving cause that supports the existence of creation. This teaching can also be found in the great Indian yoga text known as the Bhagavad Gita. It states that the yogi, who has become established in the awareness of self, becomes indifferent, unmoved by the changes that seem to appear in matter. The senses no longer interested in the illusion created by ignorance. Thus, the sage looks on the body as a marionette, created with thoughts by the self, or the divine, or the self. We are the self, not the the divine self and our self are the same self, as in a projection, as in a dream. Having awoken from that dream with the physical body dies, the sage who has discovered his or her oneness with the self remains as the self and does not create any more bodies to further incarnate. This is because he or she has discovered his or her essential nature, and there is no more desire for experiences as a human being. Thus, there is no cause for the creation of a new ego personality. This is the state that sages experience with respect to the waking world of ordinary human beings. They are no longer caught up in the illusion of the world. This is called liberation, salvation, waking up, resurrection, nirvana. This is the loftiest goal of human life. Knowledge derived from the senses is illusionary. True knowledge can only come from the understanding of the union of opposites. If you look at yourself objectively, you will realize that every cell in your body is changing from moment to moment, and that you are never the same as you were a moment ago. Even solid objects are changing and decaying, albeit at a much, much slower rate. But eventually, they will decompose into their constituent elements, and much of the same way the human body is changing and constantly moving towards extinction. The real you is pure consciousness and one with the Supreme Being who is eternal. Remember the teaching, the great God inside the common folk. This is what it means. Your inner self is one with the divine self. Initiatic science shows that the real you, the innermost you, is unchanging. What is it that constantly moving, constantly restless from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed again? It's the thinking mind with all the worries, desires, and beliefs, with all the ambitions and all the regrets. The thoughts, the worries, desires, beliefs, ambitions, and regrets constitute your mental conditioning, your personality, your ego self-concept. Through the process of your human experience in the world, your mind has become conditioned to accept, expect, to see reality in a certain way, and therefore it perceives life according to its conditioning. This conditioning, your ego, is what is holding you back from being able to realize the innermost self, which is all-encompassing, all-knowing, all-blissful, contentment, and peace. Your ego personality is like a movie character that emerges at the beginning of a movie and fades away at the end. The movie screen remains in order to receive images from other movies. In the same way, your personality emerged out of the mental conditioning at the time of your birth, and since then, it has never stopped changing, moving, craving, and searching for fulfillment. Egoism is the feeling of separation from the self and attachment to the illusionary personality that arises out of the dream quality of consciousness. It is intensified by the distractions of the mind due to the pursuit of fulfillment of sensual desires. At the time of your death, the gross aspects of your personality will cease to exist, but the impressions created through these and the unconscious will leave you still craving for unfulfilled desires. This is because the deep unconscious mind, with its conditioned impressions of desires, survives death and follows you into the astral plane until you finally are born again in the earth plane to once again continue seeking fulfillment. Get thyself ready and make the thought in you a stranger to the world illusion. The concepts of relativity of time is expressed in the hieroglyphic text called the Song of Harper. In one verse, the relativity of the passage of time is explained as follows. The whole period of things done on earth is but a period of a dream. The formula